Hi everyone, here's a long overdue video about our raspberry patch. This is what it looked like when we first moved in. It was an overgrown bramble. There was a bunch of junk in there, stakes and pieces of wire mesh and things that they were using for trellises, but everything was tangled together and it was completely overgrown. So it was obvious we had to clear it out and make some sort of access to the center of this enormous bramble. So last summer I started digging and basically came up with 2 rows, 8 feet apart, and dug right through basically all the existing plants. I just made a trench. So I tried to keep any of the plants I pulled out of the hole that was possible, set them aside, bare root, and tried to keep them moist and things while I was working. But basically I just picked where the 2 final rows would be and just kept digging, adding a big layer of compost, pulling out all the rocks and roots and so forth, and kind of getting everything organized, for lack of a better word. So here we are, early spring. This was me working on the first row, and there's a couple of little tiny baby ones. This particular corner, if you saw in the original photo, was a bunch of small plants anyway, so the things that I pulled out and kept were actually kind of weak looking anyways. I don't know why I chose these ones instead of bigger ones, but anyways, moving on. But yeah, so, digging around here always digs up a lot of rocks. Just kind of the way it goes. Whenever your dirt pile is smaller than your rock pile, you've had a pretty successful day of digging. So here's the first row, basically all prepped. The first closest half is planted, and the back half is just ready to go. Here it is from the other end. And a couple hours later, I planted this end and cleaned up all my rocks. Something to add to my rock pile. Here's everything all cleaned up just before planting. Alright, here's all the canes that I had pulled out originally, bare root, put back into the row. And you can see how much is still left in the middle. I have an absurd number of plants. But these propagate so quickly, and I'm not really worried about losing the stuff in the middle in the end. So here we are coming in early summer, and starting it on the second row. And here's the first section of it, replanted. Now you can see how wilty everything looks this time. It's really a lot hotter than it was doing the first row. So these ones actually didn't like laying it out in lawn bare root much at all. They were pretty sad looking when I got them in the back into the dirt. You can see another nice big rock pile growing. Here's the second half of the second row all prepped. Here it is, basically mostly planted. Now again, like I said, I was putting in compost. I was basically pulling all the rocks out and then putting in a layer of soil, a layer of compost, layer of leaf mold. I put some biochar in there. Just kind of mixed everything all up to re-prep these beds. The soil back here is heavy clay, so I think this is going to do a really good job. Now I decided to keep all of the stuff in the middle and the stuff outside of the rows for this year because I've disturbed all these plants. Everything I've moved, it wasn't going to make berries, so we kept all this stuff to try and get a little bit of a harvest before I pulled all the things in the middle out. And look, another pile of rocks heading out. And then there's this big guy. You can see by the length of the shovel handle, it's about a 4.5 foot long rock. It's way too big to get out of here, so I basically dug a hole underneath it, kind of kept excavating around it and under it until I could finally roll it and lay it down, so it was about 4 inches under the surface. This part this thing's right in the middle of the rows, so this is just going to be basically lawn in between. So just burying it was about all I needed to do. So here it is nestled into its little hole, and I'll just fill that all in and forget that I ever saw it. So here it is with the hole filled, and like I said, I'm leaving the middle grow wild this year just so we get some berry harvest. And we're actually getting close to getting berries here in July. So here it is after the harvest, and I've cleaned out everything that was not intended to be there. Mulched all the rows in, and right after this I actually spread some grass seed. And there it is. I'm watering in the new grass seed, watering in the plants. One more view from the side, and you can see our blueberries in the back, which also need some love. I need to really prune those things too. Now here we are this spring. You can see there's lots of little new growth up in between all the plants. Everything's looking pretty good. The grass is actually starting to fill in a little bit. Yeah, everything's looking great. So I expect these are going to really bush out pretty quickly here. So I do have to get some sort of trellising put in. I haven't exactly settled on the style of trellis I want to use. I do like the V-shaped trellis. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but you have two upper cables, maybe 18 inches apart, and you tie one cane left, one cane right, all the way down the row. Those ones will fruit this year. The new growth will come up into the middle, into the open space. So basically next year you would just clip everything off that's attached to the wire, because that has already fruited and it's now dead, and you then lash off all of the new growth in the middle. So I'm really leaning towards that. So it would be basically two cables, about 3 feet, maybe 4 feet off the ground on each side of the row. But we'll see how they do over the course of the summer, and I have plenty of time to decide for now. Unfortunately, as you can tell, I probably won't have many berries this year, but that's kind of the price you pay. But at least we'll be able to get in here and harvest, and I'm going to let these grow to about 6 inches on center or so, and prune out anything else that, tries to leave the sides of the rows. So I hope you like this little tour of our raspberry patch. I'm really excited to see how it goes. And after it fills out over the summer and we get some fruit, I'll do another follow-up video. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And please like, subscribe, and feel free to comment if you have any questions.